I figured I'd talk about something that you probably don't talk about a lot on this show, which is NBA coverage. The coverage
Oh God, no,
the
we
National
don't.
Basketball. So the NBA is the National Basketball Association.
Oh,
They are in the
for?
playoffs. And
I thought it was no boys allowed. That's why they're just men.
I wish. I think
okay, there's a playoff. Did the Celtics do good?
The Celtics
Did they
just lost
to
the Miami Heat. So the Miami Heat are the thing I want to talk about, and it's not going to be a basketball thing. It's going to be like about other stuff than basketball. But I think it's the way the NBA is being covered is kind of symptomatic of like this thing that I'm seeing. I think people are just like generally unhappy right now, like coming out of the pandemic. And
not just in the NBA, not
just in the NBA, but like I think it's coming out in like the ways we cover media that has nothing to do with like the reasons that people are unhappy. So like the examples of like people being unhappy, like they're the 8th seed, which is the lowest seed you could possibly be in the NBA, just made it to the NBA finals. Crazy underdog story, exactly the sort of thing that.
So like RFK Jr. just won the Democratic nomination.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
The Miami Heat have used that analogy to motivate them. They're like, we are the RFK Jr. of this basketball shit. But it's this incredible underdog story, and like Miles and I also do a NBA podcast. Miles and Jack got Mad Boosties, and like as I've been like watching the coverage, it's just weird. Like I wanted to, after they beat the 1 seed in the first round, I like wanted to tune in and like listen to people talk about how awesome this team is playing, how like they have this super charismatic like player who is just like really cool, really fun, Jimmy Butler, like everybody loves him. And like you tune in and all anyone's talking about is like how the like 1 seed that they beat is like choked or like collapsed, and like everybody just wants to like focus on how bad the teams are and like the pain of the teams. And like I've also noticed there's like a new trend where like they blame players for like getting hurt, which didn't used to be a thing. They like get mad at players when they get hurt, and they're like, well, his career is nothing. And it's just, I think
I knew you were weak.
Yeah, I think we're just generally unhappy, and it's coming out in weird ways that like I think we can let it out in when we're talking about the NBA, because like that explicitly like has nothing to do with the thing that is making us unhappy. Like,
well, I've been told by my husband that the NBA is like kind of great in a lot of ways in terms of players are all pretty chill. I mean, not everyone. Owners and coaches are pretty chill, and like it's just sort of like a positive vibe. Definitely social justice minded and oriented, and like fans are cool. And there's obviously not a lot of concussing, which is great. But it sounds like maybe that's fading away, and that the NBA and basketball generally is actually becoming a little more nasty, and like every other sport. Is that kind of what's happening, or no?
It just seems like compared to how it was covered and talked about in the fairly recent past, it's gotten more just negative and mean. And I just think I've seen it like in other places in the media, like our regular show, The Daily Zeitgeist, is more of a like news show, and so you see it in like people just opening fire on people who like come to their doorbell and like ring the wrong doorbell.
Right.
But I think it just also like comes out there. We're coming to the end of anyone really buying into this like central narrative of, you know, the meaning that big picture, like big corporate capitalism allows for us. And
we're bumping up on the edges. Like, I don't play video games, but if this were like all a simulation, which it definitely is, we're like we're like bumping up on the edges. Because I was the player who was like, I'm gonna find the edge of this game, because I don't know why. I'm like, and so you're just like, and so like on all the things that have been thrown our way to like deal with the ins and outs of daily terrors of capitalism and everything else. Sports being one of them. It's like, oh man, now sports kind of is mean too.
Yeah. And I mean, sports has always been mean. It just feels like even like ESPN and like the like central, like mainstream, like way that sports is covered is even like drifting to this direction where it's just like all about like these guys are losers and like it was a collapse and a choke job and not just being excited about the thing that we're kind of
Don't
all
people
there to
love
watch.
underdogs?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not a huge Miami Heat fan. I just
Right.
think like when I go to like listen to a podcast from this guy Zach Lowe, who's like really smart about basketball, but like he spent the whole day after this amazing upset just like complaining about like how bad the other team was and like kind of assuming that like they had screwed things up instead of like even mentioning once like how amazing this guy had played. And
That's so
um
lame. Yeah, no, that's so
yeah,
sad. That's
yeah,
but that's always it's much easier and it's much more content and they know they're not exempt from the content game. They know that if they go negative on something, they clip that up. You think no one's going to be like, "Oh my god, yay, Butler is
yeah,
such a great play. He's a good guy." No one's going to
yeah.
click on that. They're going to click on all the shade and all the shit talking.
Right. Part of me, like, I think that's the standard explanation is just that, like, social media makes it better to just, like, see the shade and, like, or it makes the shade, like, rise to the top. And
Yes.
part of me also wonders if, like, we're just sublimating all of this dread and angst and, like, all the ways that we've been, like, cut off from community. And we're just like, all right, well, we're unhappy. So we're going to take it out elsewhere because we don't really have, like, the internal vocabulary for describing like what's wrong, I guess. So
Yes.
we're just going to be mad at one another. And then I feel like we're also not in a great place to like have the vocabulary to describe this as it should be coming to an end. We'll
I
see if it
mean,
actually does.
we all need therapy. Everyone needs that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm curious about I was thinking the other day, I was like, is there a country around the world that like is stronger because of the pandemic? Like, is it Australia? Is it New Zealand? Is it one of the places that like took things seriously but wasn't too authoritarian about it? Like, which place was like, you know what? We've got a really good sense of camaraderie now. Like,
Right.
I immediately want to say Spain, but I just don't know. I only assume, everything feels like it's better over there.
Yeah.
Um, you getting some love in the comments. Schmegley says Sprots. So
Nice. So
yeah.
I knew this is a sports podcast, right? I got the assignment.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
like
For sure. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.